Hi everyone and welcome to Meta-morph. So, I've been playing a bit of Ninth, trying out some like Genestealer Cult lists, like mostly like bladed cog with mining lasers and new fights and stuff, but and some acolytes backing that up with a bit of combat punch. But what I found is it's very tough when there's like a lot of smaller, tougher units on the table, or like a lot of units in general. Like Genestealer Cult, we can handle big units, no problem. But a lot of smaller units, and if they're tough, that's not easy. Because I mean, we rely on like very command point heavy stratagems to get our units into combat. And once they're there, they do the business. But if we gotta do it against like 10 different units, that's that's impossible. And it's like, okay, so if we start on the board, well, there's a risk that we get shot off the board because we can't take a punch, or we can't stand up to anything. And should we make it into combat with several of our units, that's pretty good. However, with how people are playing Ninth right now, the enemy will probably just interrupt combat and smack you back and kill your acolytes. So it's not really that effective. And also our shooting is also more like, it's better against larger targets because you can use the Jackal Alphas to use priority targets. And our small arms are not really that effective, and the ones that can be effective, they're a bit unreliable, so to speak. So I've been thinking about, like, I wouldn't say like a new way to play, but after listening to some people, like online people that are better players than I am, and thinking a bit, I've come up with this like list concept or plan or whatever you call it. So I'm thinking about like a mobile army that starts mostly on the board. Got a mix of commoner shooting, vehicles, infantry. Not really a lot in reserves. Needs to have something to like distract the enemy while I like maneuver out some units to hide them. Got some like basic stuff to hold my back line, and then like try and take out these small enemy units that are holding objectives for my opponent. Taking those out and stealing the objectives, possibly, or if possible, and also like move block, because that's like a concept I've started to play around with it, and I realized it can be very powerful to move block the opponent. So to do this, I probably need some fast units that are independent. I don't need any buffs from other their units, and they're efficient at shooting. And what do you know? Rusted claw bikes, not really coming in from reserve, is starting on the board, hiding, moving out, and doing the business. So yeah, let's go a bit deeper into this and see what we can find, or what we can find, what I cooked up. So here's the list that I want to go for. It's a Rusted Claw battalion and a patrol. Starting out, we got the Patriarch, just with like Shaya Stalker would trait, make him a bit more durable, and just might from beyond as like stimulus to give up some good buffs. We then have a Primus, a Jackal Alphas, 4x10 Neophytes, 3x5 Acolytes, and then 2 larger Acolyte squads, both with a cult icon, 2 saws, and 2 rock colors in each squad, and also they all have hand flamers. And then we have a Dagger Sanctus. I'm planning on giving him the Amulet of the Voidworm so he can ignore Overwatch. And then 3x5 Atlan Jackals with demo charges. We'll come back to how I plan to use all this in the next slide. And then a unit of 3 ridge runners, just basic mine lasers, flare launchers, your standard stuff. And then 2 rock grinders with heavy seismic cannons. I've been thinking about, I think I want to try the heavy seismic cannons. And then caches of demo charges on them. And then 2 bare bones Goliath trucks, and that's 2,000 points, like on the nose. So what is it you say? Okay, so how do I want to do with this? So I want to take the rock grinders and the ridge runners, and use them as the distraction corner effects, so to speak. There'll be 5 acolytes in each rock grinder, just to get some like extra bodies up there to like project some extra threat, and also if they can jump out and steal an objective or like deploy scramblers or do something, then great. Then there's also a Jack Alphas behind the rock grinder insurance to provide with some like some pluses to hit, just to make them a bit more dangerous. And then in my backline, I'm thinking about having all 40 of my neophytes and the Patriarch. Possibly the Dagger Sanctus as well. I'm not sure about it. Maybe I'll have him in reserve. I'm probably matchup dependent, or probably gonna have to try it out. But the neophytes, since they're rusty claw, they get +1 save versus AP0 and AP1 weapons, so that's pretty okay. And they only have auto guns, so not really a threat for the opponent. And if the opponent wants to shoot them, then fine, be my guest. They're just standing there to like hold objectives and like be bodies. And then we have the Patriarch back there, throwing out some psychic buffs, and also a good counter charger if something like some enemy units come out of reserve to try and mess with my deployment zone. And then we have the combat element in the list, like the real the punchy stuff, which is the acolytes in Goliath trucks. I've added the hand flamers to like give them a bit of extra firepower and like make the list a bit more flexible. So if I face a lot of infantry, I can just move up a truck and fire 10 hand flamers at 12 inch range now, so that's pretty cool. And as you may notice, I put 2 rock cutters in each acolyte squad. And that's because I want to try them out. I think they can be really cool. If you don't know the rules, like they're -1 to hit, which is a bit sad, but the hit that's when you hit, it's strength times 2, so at least strength 8, 8 -4, and then D3 damage. And unless it's a vehicle that you're hitting, if the model you hit survived the one attack you make, you roll another die, and if you roll over the amount of wounds the model has left, it instantly dies, like no questions asked. And I think that could be really cool against like Custodies or like Tough Marines or something. So yeah, I also probably have I will have the Primus in Underground ready to come in, probably to buff the acolytes to make them hit a bit better in combat, and provide reroll ones to wound against critical targets. So yeah, and then we have the shooting, stealing, and blocking, which the Atlan Jackals would do. So I'm planning on hiding these, like just by the edge of my deployment zone somewhere, like out of line of sight, small units of 5 bikes. And then they can move out, and I'll use the drive-by demolitions and the explosive strats, just throw a shit ton of demolition charges on some weak targets, preferably targets holding objectives. And then you get to move again with the drive-by demolition strat. So sure, I can only do this with 1 unit per turn, but I don't think I need to do it with more than 1 unit per turn, because this basically allows me to go out there and like really screw with one of my opponent's objectives. every turn, or at least for 3 turns. So yeah, so if we're looking at it from like, if we would look at the table here, this is sort of what I'm thinking. So probably going up with the Rock Grinders and Reach Runners and Alphas and Trucks like on one flank. Preferably they use some like deployment shenanigans with blips to deploy on the enemy's weak flank and just move up and put pressure on it. And hopefully the enemy will go for the bait and put their efforts into stopping that attack. And then I'll have Jackals, probably 2 units at start of game, like moving up, as I said, by the edge of my deployment zone, ready to strike. The third unit will probably be in reserve and come in turn 2 or something. And then in backline, just Neophytes and the Patriarch, just holding the fort. So the Jackals, since they have a great movement of 14, they can really like move out from hiding and really threaten like mid-board objectives. And when they go out, they delete some smaller unit or some important unit, whatever opportunity you can get, and then you use drive-by demolitions, and then you got 3 options. Option 1, which probably will be like the best option, is like if you take an enemy off an objective, you can then move on to the objective. Sometimes the opponent can like position in such a way that you can't like move on the objective when they're there, but with this, if you shoot them first and then move on the objective, so it's pretty good. Option 2, after you killed something, you can then continue up against the enemy and move block something, some critical unit, just to delay them. And since the Jackals have already thrown their demo charges, they're just bodies from there on. So that's also good. And then there's option 3. It's like if you feel like you need your Jackals or something, you can always pull them back from where they came from. So yeah, I think that's that's really like some cool tricky stuff you can do with them. Looking at secondaries for this list, I've been really looking into it, and I think these are like the best options I could come up with. So we got engagement on fronts or domination. It's like basic stuff. But on 4 and 6 objective missions, I'd probably go engagement on fronts. But on the 5 objective missions, I'd go domination because it's easier to hold the majority of the objectives. Then, of course, deploy scramblers. It's basically an auto take. I got the last unit of 5 acolytes hiding in underground, ready to like drop in the enemy deployment zone, just scramble. And then I got 40 neophytes in my backline who can scramble as well, so it won't be a problem. And then, as always, there's the tricky number 3, and it depends. Sometimes you can get a good matchup, like get thin the ranks, bring it down, assassinate, etc. Maybe you could try the psychic ones. Maybe I could try it. I only have the Patriarch and as a psyker, and I don't really depend that much on psychic, so maybe it could work. But I've been really looking into the mission secondaries. So looking at some of them, I found that 5 out of 9 missions, or out of 9 missions in the Grand Tournament pack, they actually have pretty decent secondaries. And these are missions 13, 22, 23, 32, and 33. If that says you anything. I can't really remember what missions they are, but it's those missions. And the secondaries are usually about board control. And I'm already doing board control. I'm taking control of objectives. I need to hold objectives to score primary points. So I figured if I'm doing it anyway, I might as well get some extra points for it. And so yeah, so in those 5 missions, I'll probably pick the mission secondary. In the other 4, it gets a bit more tricky, but I'll see what I'll have to adapt in that. Okay. So to play this list, what do I need? What do I need to like do hobby-wise? So I need 15 more acolytes, and I need them to have hand flamers and some rock colors. Here I'm planning to do a bit of conversion, which I'll probably make a future video about how I did it, just to save money, because acolytes are so expensive. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a lot of money. And then for this one, unfortunately, I can't do anything, but I need 11 more Atlan Jackals. So I'll have to buy 3 more boxes of Atlan Jackals. Now, I love the Jackals. They're cool models, but they're hella expensive. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be worth it. And it's going to look great to have a lot of bikes. So, and then I need 1 more Goliath truck and 1 more Goliath rock rider. And this one I already have. I already have this one. I have it bought. It's here on my shelf, still in its box, ready to be built and painted. So yeah, probably should get on that pretty soon. Yeah, so it's not like a lot I have to do to get to this, to be able to play this list. Now, like, before I go any further, Chapter Approved could come out this Christmas or by New Year's or whatever and completely change this. But from a concept, like, I think the bikes are really cool. I mean, they were probably the most that like drew me into Genestealer Cult in the first place. So to be able to use them, like base my strategy around the bikes, that would be awesome. So I think whatever happens, I'm gonna go for the bikes. So I'll be really interested to hear what you guys think. Am I crazy for trying this? Like, could this like thing with like keeping bikes in backline and like moving them out to strike, could that work as a concept with 9th edition as it is now? I mean, I'm not looking to like go out and win any tournaments like anytime soon. Not that there are many tournaments right now, but that's not a problem. But you know, you just go out there, like put up a good fight, like win a few games, make people respect Genestealer Cult, you know. So what do you think? Could it work? Please get a discussion going down in the comments. I'm sure we can all learn a lot from it. Other than that, as you might have noticed, it's been a while since I posted. I got a lot going on right now. Started a new job. Been daily commute is like 2 hours back and forth, so I'm losing a lot of time. And also, my girlfriend is moving in with me, like by the end of the year. So there's a lot of things to do there. So, I just want to tell you guys that videos from now on, it probably won't be like as like on a regular basis. More be like whenever I have time to do some hobby and make a video about it. But I'll try to like get at least a couple of videos out a month or something like that. All right, thank you for watching and bye.